Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Padilla with Thrive Family Chiropractic, and this is another episode of the Thriving Family Speaking Series. For those of you that this is the first time you're joining us, I am Dr. Padilla. I am the chiropractor and owner at Thrive Family Chiropractic. I am a house call and mobile chiropractor in the Northeast Florida region. My focus in practice is children's health, pregnancy, prenatal, preconception, and postpartum. So my practice's focus is not only on delivering chiropractic care to these populations and to families, but also on focusing on the whole body approach and wellness aspect of health. So we integrate everything from rehabbing to nutrition to lifestyle choices. And that is why we're doing this speaker series. We've come together with a couple of different providers and businesses in the Northeast Florida region that support our mission of helping families find that journey to better health and to improve their lifestyle and their health with the help of all these different providers and resources in the community. So today I'm super excited to have with me Patsy Bridgeman. Patsy is the owner and founder of the Food Allergy Wizards. And we met, maybe it was almost a year ago at this point. That's crazy. And we connected, I believe, over social media is how we connected. And I had never heard of Patsy's business, but for this resonated, what she does and her mission resonated with me very well, because as a child, I was very sick. And I think I shared this with you the first time we met. I was a bubble child. I was very sick with allergies to all sorts of unknown things. And it was tough to navigate that with different aspects of health and life. And I know it was also tough to navigate for my parents as a child. So obviously, as I grew and went through all the education in healthcare, I realized that there's so many options out there for things that we had no idea when I was little. So I'm excited to meet people like Patsy, because she's definitely gone through a similar journey personally and led to this amazing business and resources for the community you have. So Patsy has an extensive background with food allergies with over 20 years of personal and professional experience. She developed multiple adult onset food allergies, and her youngest daughter was born with multiple food allergies as well. Patsy is also the founder of Cherry Brook Kitchen, a line of allergen-friendly baking mixes available nationwide. She is part of the leadership team of the Food Allergy Families of Northeast Florida and a member of FAIR, Food Allergy Research and Education. She has been featured in publications and on television for her expertise with food allergies. She has a unique combination of firsthand experience from her many roles in the food allergy world. She's a food allergy solutions and strategy expert. She believes empowering those who deal with food allergies with a positive, empathic, and fun approach. Patsy's goal is to bring magic to those on their own food allergy journey through Food Allergy Wizards. And I'm super excited to have you here. Thank you so much for taking time to do this with me. Today, we're going to specifically talk about food allergies during pregnancy and the fourth trimester. And I'm super curious about hearing all these tips you have for us. So whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me. And this is food allergies are a part of my personal life, because I did develop food allergies as an adult. And I also, my youngest daughter had multiple food allergies. And so just having the experience personally and then professionally, getting to see the whole world. But one of the things that really resonated with me is pregnancy is such a big time of change, and there's so much going on. And a lot of people have questions about food allergies and sensitivities and intolerances. And one of the things to make note of is your body is changing in so many different ways during pregnancy. And there can be an intolerance, a sensitivity, or a food allergy that does develop. So it's something to have on your radar. And people can have food cravings and they go for that, but you don't hear that much about the intolerances or the food allergies. And why it's important, especially in pregnancy, is because food allergies are a reaction of your immune system, which of course is balancing both your immune system and the baby growing inside of you. If you do develop a food allergy, or you come into the pregnancy with a food allergy, since it is a medical condition and an immune system, you have to be careful, because there is the most severe food allergic reaction is anaphylaxis, which can be life-threatening. So you really want to make sure that you're prepared. So that's why it's important to identify it. And when you're in pregnancy, the best way to do this is through journaling, keeping a journal of your diet. And it can be skin rashes or hives, it can be digestion. If you have symptoms that are more severe, swelling of the face, tongue, swallowing, breathing, those are severe symptoms, and you should absolutely, whatever you had to eat in that meal, avoid that, journal it, and contact an allergist or your primary doctor to get tested, because you want to make sure that you're as safe as possible for you and for your baby. And that some people always say, well, what are the top food allergies? And the top 8 are egg, milk, shellfish, fish, tree nuts, peanuts, wheat, and soy. And soon they're adding sesame will be the top 9. So those are usually the top culprits that if you're looking at your diet, knowing it can be anything you can be allergic to, but those really are the major ones that people will look at. And the testing, some people get nervous. How do they test? It's skin pricks, and they can do drawing the blood, are usually the 2 tests that they will do. But it is a very helpful tool to have. And then the second thing that I like, people always ask is, is there anything I can do to prevent food allergies for my unborn child? You're trying to do the very best you can. And right now, there's no definitive solution for either curing food allergies if you have them or preventing them. But there are steps that you can take in terms of your diet, which is trying to keep things as simple and as whole as possible, unprocessed, no chemicals, so that you're ingesting everything as pure as possible. So a simple diet is the best to boost your immune system and then give your baby the best shot. Again, if you noticed anything unusual while you're eating something, make note of that in your journal. And then some people say, well, how do I know if I'm having a reaction or is it just to something else? If you want to challenge and you say, well, I had eggs for breakfast and then I had a rash, but I'm not sure if it really was the eggs or not. I also, had 3 other things for breakfast. You can challenge it again and then make sure you're eating things you know that you're not having a reaction to. Eat the eggs. If you ever have a severe reaction, don't challenge yourself with, if you have swelling in the throat, then do not do that because that can be unsafe. The other thing people need to realize is if you're doing your journal and especially hives and rashes are common reactions, is that it can be body products that you put on your body, and they can also be hairsprays, it can be pet foods, and your pet's ingesting something. Let's say you have a fish allergy. I have a fish allergy, and if a dog is eating dog food that has high fish oils and then they're licking me, I actually will break out. So you have to think about not just the food, but also body products and cleaning products. Everything from dish soaps, or if you're allergic to, I have an issue with coconut, and that's a base for a lot of all natural products. So you also have to be careful. It says all natural. What are you actually allergic to? And you have to read those labels and make sure that you understand that you're being safe. And especially with baby products, when I had actually both daughters had very sensitive skins and would have allergic reactions. And I saw hypoallergenic, and I thought, great, that means they're covered. And that's the thing that I learned is hypoallergenic, maybe there's least amount of ingredients, but you still have to look for what is your child reacting to or what are you reacting to. So again, that isn't a sort of permission slip that it's free of all the top allergens. So that you really need to check those labels. And then in terms of how your immune system works and rolling through pregnancy, in your first trimester, second, third, and fourth, things can just continually evolve. So things, if they crop up in the middle of your pregnancy or at the end, don't be surprised because everything is evolving and changing. And the studies have shown that genetics, environmental exposures, stressors, everything is going to react. Another important factor in helping to boost your immune system, because food allergies are part of your immune system, is trying to make sure your gut biome is very important for bacteria and enzymes. So if there's anything that you're having digestion issues or anything, you can do some testing and do supplementation to really boost your system. So the things that you can do to make sure your immune system is balanced from a gut standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, and from what you're eating. All those combined, it's a whole system approach. So I highly recommend that. And then rolling into the 4th trimester or with the newborn, they say breastfeeding is best, passing along antibodies and things that help protect your baby. If you have a food allergy, and this was something that happened to me, I didn't know at the time with my first daughter that I had food allergies. And when I was breastfeeding, my body just wasn't breaking down the proteins properly. And she actually wound up with rashes and some internal bleeding. And so we had to do investigative work and journaling, and I learned that I was having trouble breaking down certain things. So you may need to also, if your child is having colic, trouble eating, sleeping, go through the normal things, but also take a look at what you're eating in your diet. It could be something, and you want to work in conjunction if you're breastfeeding. And right now, the big debate is, do you eat things that, if you don't have an allergy, should you have a diet free of the top allergens just to be on the safe side, or should you be eating them? It used to be avoid all the top 8 allergens to be safe so that your system's clear. They're just reversing this. The American Academy of Pediatrics saying now they want you to try and introduce the foods, if you're not allergic, to expose your child and hopefully give them the antibodies. Here's the catch. They also say you shouldn't introduce this until your child's 4 to 6 months old. So it's a balancing act of knowing where your body is, and also if you have another child who has food allergies, if you have a history of food allergies or intolerances, where your immune system is. I really advise people to take an individual look at themselves, their body systems, and make that decision rather than a blanket statement saying, I'll just eliminate or I'll expose myself. And then the last thing I'll say that's really important is, if you do have food allergies or you have an anaphylactic reaction and you're pregnant, and this is something I was terrified about, do you use the auto injector of epinephrine, which is the life-saving technique, or do you not? Because I was afraid, would that hurt the baby? And actually, they say absolutely use the injector. So just so people understand that you want to use that because you want to save your life if you're going into a life-threatening reaction, and actually the baby will be fine and you would go to the hospital and they would monitor you. So those are the top things. And the last piece of, I would say, making sure you're prepared for food allergies or preventing food allergies is your emotional well-being. Stress levels and hormones are going to react to that. So just making sure you're staying connected. If you have questions, you have support, and that you have a plan in place, and that it is a time of change, and just to reach out to resources and make sure that you have the best information. And when you make your decisions, you're making them the best intentions. So the guilt and the fear, hopefully you want to put that aside, because you're using everything you can at that time. So sometimes people, if their child does get a food allergy, you feel guilty. Did I cause this, or what did I do? We're all doing the best that we can. So you really want to emphasize that, try not to go down the path of guilt or fear, and just understand you may need to pivot or make a new decision or change your diet, but just keep moving forward. And that's the best you're going to do for yourself and for your child.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You touched on so many points that I go over. From an immune standpoint, it's a lot of what I talk about in practice with my moms during pregnancy with their little kids. As you know, I see the majority of the babies or the infants I see in my practice are under the age of 1, and they might primarily come to me but because of colic, allergies, sensitivities, constipation, issues sleeping, all these things you label that they're not necessarily associated firsthand with immune support or with your gut being a little altered. And it absolutely is. 70% of our immune system is in our gut. And like you mentioned, allergies and food sensitivities can be a reaction of an unhealthy gut or an inflamed gut. And it expresses very differently in a lot of people. For some people, some food allergies can be headaches. For some people, can be digestive discomfort, can be bloating, it can be a skin rash. So there's a lot of different reactions, and identifying, like you said, journaling, anything you notice differently, especially during pregnancy, because like you said, between the combination of hormones and all the different changes your body's going through as a woman during pregnancy, it's really important to focus on what you put in your body, what you're also putting on your body as well. You touched on what we could be eating really good foods and doing all the right things internally, but then if we're using cosmetics or perfumes or things that have a lot of toxins in them, we may be having a reaction to something we have no idea it's in there. Like you said, a lot of products that are labeled all natural or hypoallergenic, a lot of them put soy in it. And some people have some strange reactions to soy as well. I've seen that a lot personally. I've been going through a little journey of cleaning out toxins from my house and my environment, because I realized that I was holding inside a lot of toxins from like years and years ago of exposure that I had 10, 15 years ago to bleach. And I don't use bleach in my house. I haven't used bleach in my house in like 5, 7 years. And there's still some of that in my body. So it's been really interesting learning all of these things like you mentioned. So even things that are labeled all natural, sometimes the fragrances and the scents they use may not necessarily be completely good for you. Even though they may be a better option than something that's totally artificial, it may not be for everyone. So I'm glad that you mentioned all of that. The journaling was really interesting. I have moms that navigate with the whole issue of their babies having trouble with colic and gas and constipation. I have them journal how the baby responds after each feeding, but I also have them journal what they ate the day before, whether they pumped or whether they didn't, so that we can kind of like start following where that's coming from. Gut health is huge. I promote pre and probiotics quite a bit in practice, especially if I know that the mom has had a lot of stress during her pregnancy, or she had a lot of issues with conception, because that can lead the way that pregnancy happened, the amount of environmental stress, emotional stress, toxins surrounding her, because of work, because of lifestyle. Those things can definitely affect how the baby develops and responds to birth and to the first few months of life. Their immune system may be compromised just because of these exposures mom had been experiencing beforehand. So definitely that can lead to a lot of allergies too. I was reading this research the other day that during pregnancy, the placenta, the cord to the placenta that connects mom is basically the main source of communication and nutrients between mom and baby. It can hold, they've done studies where they found a lot of toxins and chemicals in the cord that because of things mom has been exposed to or mom uses, and that can get passed through the placenta barrier to the baby and affect the baby and develop in utero allergies or sensitivity. So like you mentioned, the breastfeeding, passing those good antibodies is really important. Babies also get a lot of good antibodies and good bacteria when they come out of the birth canal as well. So unfortunately, in some situations, babies don't get that experience. So those babies may be prone to some more allergies and respiratory illnesses and a more compromised immune system as well. So yeah, I love that you covered all of these things, because it's exactly what I preach from a chiropractic standpoint. Chiropractic addresses with the adjustments, it addresses the immune system, and our job is to boost the immune system so that allergies and different exposures and sensitivities can be taken care of by having a boosted immune support or immune system as well. So this was awesome. Thank you so much. I know you were mentioning all these, the epinephrine, the injection, and I remember as a kid, I have a shellfish allergy that I discovered when I was like 7. We were at a restaurant and I poofed up, complete throat, closed throat from a shrimp. So that was not fun. And then I had to go with my little EpiPen everywhere. I remember I would always, every time I went to a new place, I would tell people, this is how you use it if you have to use it. And we were like, what's wrong with this girl? That's how, even when we go to restaurants with friends or people that or I go on a trip with people, new friends or something, I always tell people, if this happens, I usually know when I'm getting a little allergy. If there's something, if I smell a little shellfish in the environment, I usually tell because I get a raspy voice. But I always tell people, this is what you're gonna do if I go down and I can't breathe and I start swelling. And people are like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "No, really, this is what you're gonna do."
No, it's true. It's true. I remember thinking when I first had the food allergies and knowing I might have to use the EpiPen, just to sort of emphasize the point, I had little chef cards made up as I'd hand to the waiter so that the chef wouldn't know. But I put out the fork, knife, spoon, and then I'd lay my EpiPen out as the additional piece of silverware. So like,
Yeah.
and yeah, and people would be hesitant to sit next to me. It's like, oh, he's going to be my true friend and sit next to me. Because if I need
so
this and I go down, I can possibly self-administer, but not,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Thankfully,
yeah,
I never had to use it as a child or a teenager. I was fortunate enough that I was able to recognize where I could be. This is really funny. My mom's going to kill me for telling this story, but when I lived at home, and my dad loves seafood, so, which is an issue because I can't be around it. So my issue is if it's being cooked and I'm there,
ooh,
I have to leave. So my mom would be like, "You have to leave the house today for the whole day and don't come back till I call you." And I literally would leave and she would cook my dad like a full like shrimp meal and like seafood salad. And then she would call me and be like, "I cleaned the whole house and there's like candles everywhere and now you can come home because it doesn't smell." And I would not be able to come home until it was all cleaned up. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, no, I have the same things. I have shellfish and flatfish allergy, so we don't do any fish. And
Yeah.
like Chris, my husband doesn't like fish, doesn't have an allergy or anything, but luckily
Yeah.
he just doesn't like it. So we fortunately don't have it in the house. But yeah,
It's wild. So Patty, I wanted to let people know, how do they get a hold of you? You have a blog. Um,
yeah. So they can
yes.
just go to the website, which is foodallergywizards.com, and there's resources, downloads, and blogs. And on the blog, I have a blog about pregnancy, about babies, and there's recipes and resources. And also, if anybody just wants to talk about an issue they're having, whether it's social support, recipes, questions about how to eliminate, or actually making substitutions, so that if you're dropping a whole category of food, how can you supplement that and make sure you're still well balanced? And that you can just click, we call it Summon a Wizard. So you can just summon a wizard, or you can email me directly at patsy@foodallergywizards.com. And we're definitely here to help anybody with their food allergy issues, especially during the vital time of pregnancy. And
Absolutely. I know it's very overwhelming for a lot of moms, and we do some assessments in the office when, like I said, when nursing happens or when these kids come in with certain specific findings. And we discuss probiotics and things like that. But I think the most challenging part is, what do I eat?
right.
Because they need, especially during nursing, during that first trimester, they need to have that good source of whole foods and nutrients, good fats, good proteins, good carbohydrates, so they can continue to produce quality milk for the baby. And so they're nourished. They're expending a lot of calories during the first couple of months after having a baby. And we want to make sure that they're staying healthy so they can take care of their baby. So I know finding good, like you said, good sources to substitute and finding whole food meals that they can still eat, it's a big challenge for them. So definitely reach out to Patsy if this is something that you've been struggling with, or navigating a family that has one child with an allergy, but the rest of the family doesn't. That's also something big. It's kind of like your situation you were telling me with your one daughter. So yeah, thank you so much. And I'm glad you mentioned the toxins in the environment and the toxins in your house and what we put on our bodies, because the next couple of episodes of the Thriving Family series are going to be about why it's important to read labels for our skincare and our cleaners that we use at home, and how to make conscious choices about that exposure, because we can be making ourselves sicker by having certain cleaners and certain things in our house that we think are good, and they're taking care of like the cleaning part, but they may just be making us sicker than the actual bacteria around us.
It's
So
true.
yeah, so stay tuned for those because those will be the next couple episodes. If you need to reach out to me for any chiropractic, pediatric, or pregnancy care, please reach out by you can find me at social media. It's Jax JAX Mobile Chiropractor in all social medias, Facebook, Instagram, or you can also find my website is jaxmobilechiropractor.com and send a message and send a question if you have any questions regarding care for your children or for your family. Thank you so much, Patsy, for being here. I look forward to seeing you soon and have a great week. And thank you everyone for watching. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.